I'm going a bit off script right now because I just came off a video and I thought this is a good idea to make a video and here we are. What is my thoughts of science-based lifting, right? Now, some of my videos, you'll hear me talk about, oh, this study says that, systemic study, blah, whatever, right? I'm a big fan of some of the smartest fucking bodybuilders, powerlifters, YouTubers on the planet, right? San Efferdin is an amazing resource. Dr. Lane Norton, amazing. People like Ben Pakowski, etc., etc., etc. And when we talk about science, I take science as a foundation. So I will listen to something and I'll be like, right, cool. So that's kind of the standard. That's what's meant to be happening. Cool, let's go with it. Let's run it. And if I run it and I don't see the same result, then I will adapt. And I think that is a good way to move forward. When watching YouTubers, influencers, even my videos, I might say something and, you know, someone might turn around and be like, oh, that was not my experience. And that's fine. One of the prime examples of this is a ketogenic diet. A ketogenic diet a couple of years ago was kind of, everyone in the fitness industry was talking about it. Like right now, everyone's kind of talking about like a carnivore diet, or we're just coming off it. I think that was more of a last year thing, but everyone was fucking eating on like a chopping board. Carnivore was a big thing. You had guys like Eddie Abu and all that talking a lot about it. And then a couple of years before that was like intermittent fasting and all that kind of stuff. But with the keto, we had people talking about, oh, you know, we're dropping weight like crazy. We're not that hungry. A lot of people that were doing keto actually eventually started eating 1 meal a day. And, you know, the ketogenic diet sounded like a fucking amazing diet, right? And I trialed it with a lot of clients. And it was funny because I got different results. I had some people who had tremendously amazing results. And I mean literally head turning, calm. I had other clients who really struggled. They said that, you know, they had like a lot of brain fog and their performance mentally was dog shit. They had trouble staying awake. They were so tired, all this kind of stuff, which didn't match what some of the studies were saying. Because, you know, people would say, oh, you know, ketones is actually what the brain runs best on and all this. I don't know how true that is. I think it's glucose, but whatever. But I had some clients who got really bad results like that. Like, I mean, I had some students that said that they were really doing bad. And I was like, okay, fuck it. Look, fuck the keto. Just start eating a bit normally. We'll keep the complex carbohydrates. We'll do a lot of fibrous vegetables, keep the hydration going well and see where we go. And after about a week or so, they got better results. Interesting. Then I remember Charles Poliquin, another amazing mind within the powerlifting, bodybuilding space. He actually trained a lot of the Olympians, right? And I remember him saying that, you know, some people done really well on like a high carbohydrate diet. But then there were some people where they had to earn their carbohydrates, right? And they thrived off high fat. So what I'm saying is we trialed it. And there were some people that got what the science was telling us. And for those people, we kept it. But for other people, it went against what the science was saying. So for those people, we adapted. Another example is, well, science tells us X amount of protein per pound of body weight. Now, the research is showing 1.6 grams to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. But there are some people who done really well on the kind of 2.2 grams per kilogram, which works out about a gram per pound of body weight. But then there were other people who did really well on 1 gram per kilogram, which is less than the minimum, which is the 1.6. But the 1.6 is kind of like a minimum. But we just had to trial it. And there was no real difference from going from 1 gram per kilogram to 1.6 gram per kilogram. So therefore, that person could get away with more carbohydrates and more fats in their diet, which gave them more variety. But that was a few clients. So what I'm trying to get across here is science, lifting, science-based nutrition. We should always take that as kind of the teaching. That's the rule. But understand that there will be exceptions. And you shouldn't be scared to go against the rule occasionally. I've made videos on here, particularly about the protein, where I've said the 1 gram per pound is kind of like the gold standard. I'd say just fucking go for that. But at the same time, I wouldn't suggest someone who has only been getting 50 grams of protein to go ahead and get, you know, if they needed to get 250 grams of protein, for them to make that jump overnight. You know, tomorrow I'm going to get 250 grams of protein. But what you can do is start to increase your protein gradually so that you get to that 1 gram per pound. And even when you get to the 1 gram per pound, play about. Cut it back, see what happens to your strength, see what happens to your physique. We are in a society right now where if you do or say something other than what science has told us, it causes a lot of problem and a lot of debate. Not even debate, a lot of, I'm open to debate. I'm open to people challenging what I'm saying. But what I don't have time for is where people just say, oh, you're wrong. This study says this, because we're all individuals. Imagine some of the world records. You know, Usain Bolt, he broke the world record. Right? Eddie Hall broke the fucking world record. Thor, Hafton, I can't say his actual full name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. He broke the world record like fucking 3 times in one sitting. These rules are made for breaking. Not always do you need to follow on those rules. Not always is science going to back up what you're saying. And it's very funny because 10 years ago, a lot of the bro science, right, was saying X, Y, and Z. And it's only now that a lot of the science-based stuff is actually validating what the bro science was saying. So imagine the bro science. Imagine if those people didn't dare to break the rules and the science that was of the time. Imagine if they just stayed confined by that information. We wouldn't have some of the people that we've already had. Oh, no, science says this. You can't do it. You wouldn't have it. So feel free to fuck about. Feel free to play about. You know, it doesn't always have to be science says this. And again, I said I'm doing this off script, so that's why I'm rambling a bit more than I normally do. Another thing that really frustrates me is when I see young kids go in the gym and they're doing a lot of these isolation movements that, you know, science says this is the best way to get full contraction on the lat is like a single arm, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm looking at these kids and they don't have, well, clearly they don't have any muscle maturity. A lot of the people in my time and before my time, because I ain't that fucking old, yeah? What we did was we went in the gym and we tried to outlift our friends. That was simply it. Growing up, I loved the bench press. And all we would do is try to outlift each other. We went in the gym and we were competitive. I don't see that too much in the gym these days. What I see is people doing these isometric exercises. I don't really see these compound exercises anymore. You know, like, it's funny because I put up a video not too long ago of me doing shrugs, like fucking old school shrugs. And one of the guys in the gym came up to me and said, you know what, I've not seen someone do shrugs in this gym for the longest while. And I was like, yeah, that's true. I don't see many people doing bent over rows, you know. I see people doing deadlifts, bench press, the kind of bait ones, but there's some things that I just don't see. And, you know, they're the best things. Instead of doing like this single arm isometric lat pull down with a D handle or whatever it might be, well, why don't you just do fucking lat pull downs? Heavy, try to do the stack. It's a bullshit goal. And, you know, the people watching this might be like, oh, he's just about trying to do the stack. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. As a kid going in the gym and just having the sole purpose of looking at the machines and saying, I want to be able to walk up to the machine, put the entire fucking stack on and just fucking rep it. Nothing wrong with that. Because a lot of the time, what people are wanting now is they want to sign up for the gym. They want to get the most efficient workout. They want to get the most efficient diet. And then they want to be Mr. Olympia by Friday. That's not how this works. Everything you do has value. Me going in with my boys, just trying to fucking outlift each other on the bench press, we grew muscle. We got fucking hella strong. And it was also like a social thing, you know. But we progressed. Nowadays, I'm seeing kids go in the gym, they're with their friends, whilst one guy's maybe bench pressing, the other guy's just on his fucking phone on TikTok or something. What the fuck? My brother, if you are there and you're especially stood there like you're spotting him, spot the fucking guy. I'm going into another video right now. Anyway, I'm going off topic so hard here. My point is, there is room for science and there is room for everything else. Use the science base as the foundation. Feel free to go away from the foundation. Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to play. We need to be able to enjoy. We need to be able to discover. You might do something and be like, oh, fuck, that didn't work. That wasn't good. Nope, we're not doing that. And that's fine. You come back to the science-based stuff, okay? Don't be afraid to break the fucking mold. Don't be afraid to go in the gym and just have some fucking fun. Because at the end of the day, yes, we're trying to get a goal. You will get the goal. Guaranteed, you will get the goal. There's many ways to get to the same path. If you look, I'm going into another video, but really quickly, if you look at every Mr. Olympia, they all train differently. Arnold trained differently to Phil Heath. Kai Green trains differently to Chris Bumstead. Even if you're looking at people who want Mr. Olympia, right, but are in fucking amazing physique, right? You look at someone like Stan Efferdin, right? He has an amazing physique. Smart as fucking powerlifter, powerlifter. You look at someone like Michael Hearn, they train differently. You look at someone like Branch Warren, he gets ridiculed for how he trains with like sloppy form. Motherfucker looks great. Motherfucker's jacked as fuck. You look at Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, they all train differently. So there are many ways to get to the same goal. Don't be afraid to break that fucking mold. I hope this entire video made sense. So go get it done.